Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another magic maker project for the small Aussie business Hobby Hoppers. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph Williams and I am a paper crafter and card maker in Queensland, Australia. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this adorable spooky bat card using some of the new release products from Lawn Fawn that I grabbed from Hobby Hoppers. So let's get started. I'll show you what I needed to make this card. I'll be using the largest of my stitched rectangle dies and I'll be cutting 3 pieces of cardstock from that very soon. I'm also using my stitched dens, the largest one and I guess the third size down. So here are those 3 pieces of white cardstock that I have cut with my stitched rectangles, and these are the colours I'll be using today to make my background. I've also got some white acrylic paint and my favourite watercolour pigments in the Starry Set. I'm also using the Nighttime Sky stencil set and of course the Fangtastic Friends and the add-on. So with these white cardstock pieces, I'm going to be cutting some holes in them to make a bat cave. Trish has popped up the stitched ends as a pre-order on the Hobby Hoppers website if you're interested in replicating this card. I also had a look at what is in stock at the moment on the website, and the stackable thought bubbles I think would also work really well for this. So long as you've got 2 similar shapes in different sizes, I think you can make it work. So once I've cut the holes, making sure that they layer well and that the smaller one is inside of the bigger one without the edges touching or getting too close, I'm then going to ink up these backgrounds. For this I'm using some black soot and some hickory smoke distress oxide inks. It is a little bit messy, especially using those brushes. I feel like sponges are my friends these days, they never were. But it doesn't matter if it looks a bit cloudy and splotchy because we're making a cave, it doesn't have to be perfect. Once I'm done with those 2 colours, I'm going to use a little bit of my black ink on my mat. I'm going to wet it down with some water and then flick it over the top, just to start adding some layers of texture. For my sky in the background, I'm going to be using some spiced marmalade, seedless preserves and dusty concord. These are my favourite colours for spooky backgrounds. I love how well they can end up blending together, even though the purples and the orange is so different. So while this background won't all be seen, I knew only a little piece was going to be seen through the little window of the cave, but I still wanted to make a full background just to show how I blend these colours together and how I decorate it as a whole. So while my ink is still fairly wet, I sprinkle some water over the top to get those oxide inks oxidizing to lift off some of that deeper colour. I usually let my background sit aside for a little while to dry and then I add my watercolour pigments. Today I'm using the red gold for the background outside and then I'm using white gold to make little flecks on the cave pieces. After that I'll be using some white acrylic paint. I have tried using white distress oxide inks in the past, but I feel like they're just too busy oxidizing, too busy getting too light once you add that water. So if I want white flecks on any backgrounds, I always use an acrylic paint. Now onto stamping, and I am just in love with these bats. They are just the cutest critters. I love the mice that Lawn Fawn make, but I love spooky things. If it were up to me, my house would have Halloween decorations all year round. I just love it all so much, and so to have these little bats is just amazing. I feel like they're probably the cutest Halloween set that Lawn Fawn has ever brought out. And although I've only used it once, I feel like I love them as much as I love the mice. So I can't wait to find ways for these little cuties to get up to trouble. This is the first project that I'm using my new neutral grey Copic markers. I decided to go with neutral instead of warm or cool because I feel like they can just go with any background no matter what colour or shade or tone I make it. And I'm really loving them. I'm just playing around with different colours and different combinations to get lighter and darker ones. And I just think they all turned out so cute. So while I'm here doing some colouring, I thought I would remind you that this is a Magic Maker project for Hobby Hoppers. This is my September project. And I'm so excited to make this one for you. I absolutely love working with Trish from Hobby Hoppers. It is such a great little business and she stocks so many amazing things. Not just the Lawn Fawn that you see in my videos, but heaps of other craft supplies. I'll be sure to put the website link in the description below and all the links to all the products that I'm using from Hobby Hoppers as well. So you'll see things like card bases, the watercolour pigments that I use, the white gel pens that I use on every card to make all my little white highlights. Trish stocks them too. So make sure you check out the website. Okay, so now that my colouring is done, I'm going in with some of my white gel pens. Today I'm using the 0.5 and the 0.8. I love it when I get to bring that 0.5 out. It is so ridiculously tiny, but then so are these spiders. And so doing the little highlights on their eyes and cheeks is just so cute. I use the 0.8 for my bats. I've also changed my camera angle for this today. I tried to do it a little bit different. It's always really hard with colouring and doing these little details to get the right angle because I film everything on my phone and it is much easier doing it straight down, but I thought I really wanted to show you all these little lines, all the little dots and colouring in those tiny fangs. They just turned out so cute. So now it's time to get some of this layering happening, and what I've done here is just gently marked out where that window is to the night sky so that I can get my clouds right. I was going to use some stencil paste, but there was just something about this stencil that made me think I'd have to do one cloud at a time and I'd have to come back so that I wouldn't smudge that paste. And while I was sitting there, I decided at the last minute that nope, I was not going to use paste. I decided instead to go with a picket fence distress ink, which might be a little bit of an odd choice, and I did have to layer it a few times. I had to use my little sponge tool lots to build up that colour for the background, and because it is a distress ink, going on a distress oxide ink, it was reacting and it was trying to lift some of that colour from the background. So they're not perfect clouds, but they're subtle and I still liked how they turned out. I'm using my Henry's ABC dies again. These are just my new favourite. I absolutely love them. And I have cut from both white and black cardstock the letters for the word Batty. I was going to do my sentiment in black and to have the white ones layered behind to make them pop, but for some reason I thought maybe I should colour them like the background, and then I did, and then I felt like they looked better to be the top layer. So this turned out nothing like how I thought it was going to be. So I didn't even record it because I didn't think this was an important part to show, but all I've done is rub my orange brush and my purple brush over my white letters, very roughly blending them in between, and now I'm going to layer them onto my black letters. I am simply adding some white lines on my letters and some dots just to make these look like all the other images on the front of the card. I'm using some PVA glue to start my layering. I'm going to stick away from those little stitch lines because I don't like it when glue shows up between them. So I'm adding some PVA glue to the whole background, leaving a little bit of space at the edges. And then I'm going to stick this directly down onto my night sky, which will fit perfectly because these stitched pieces are cut with the same die. And while I'm here, I'm going to be adding some double-sided tape to the back of this so that I don't have to do it when my whole card front has all of its dimension. Using some scrappy pieces of kids craft foam, I'm going to be sticking that on the back of my largest cave opening, as that is what's going to give it all a bit of dimension at the front. I've added some foam squares to the backs of these letters too, so that they're going to be at the same height as that top layer of the cave. For the rest of my sentiment, I'm keeping it fairly simple. I'm using a little piece from the Scallop Circle gift tag set, and I raided my stash of Lawn Fawn stamps until I found a set that had a simple For You. There's a few of them. So this one just came from one of my mini sets with mice, and I'm going to be embossing that with some white powder on a black piece of cardstock. And now for my favourite part of any card, assembling all of my little pieces for my scene. So once my scene is done, I then flip everything over and remove the backing to my double-sided tape and adhere it to a card front. And there we have it, this card is complete. I really hope you love it. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to check out Hobby Hoppers. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.